Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review. Anime Review episode number 74. With these episodes, I'm pretty much done. Well, with the most recent release, a batch of episodes. Yes, and I did see online that the new batch was released digitally, like in digital storefront. They're probably going to release in 2 weeks. So it's probably when I'll get a chance, probably later on this month, mind you. Yeah, probably either because it got released yesterday. It probably released the 20th at this point. Yep. So in these 6 episodes, we see the very first episode. We have Big Mom coming straight to the ship. Pespero, of course, freezing over Chopper and Brook. And of course, the Sunny is about to leave and is trapped by Candy. Yes, Candy. By Pespero, who's made to the shoreline. But then, of course, Pedro tells Carrot go on the ship. He will handle Pespero. He fights him briefly. We see a brief flashback 5 years before the events of the main, before present day, where this is just after Pedro lost 50 years of his life. And Pespero is wearing completely different attire to be seen in present day. In present day, he wears a yellow coat. In the flashback, he wears a black coat. Why the heck the coat change? Do not know. My guess is because it's 5 years for the events of the present day. Now, currently, Pespero is at the age of 50. Yes, he is the age of 50. And you're probably thinking, wow, he basically looks in shape for someone who's 50. He eats lots of candy. And he's a minister of Candy. So that means in the flashback he was 45 years old. Yeah, that's the thing with Big Mom's older children. They're all in their 40s. Yes, with the exception of Pespero, who's 50. Because it seems like at 40s, 50s, 20s, the youngest is like 8. So, Pedro, of course, tries to fight Pespero, gets pinned down, but he actually wanted him to do that, holds his leg, while he's pinned down by him, and then he proceeds to open his coat where he's got sticks of dynamite. And then he's like, oh, by the way, before this is a really cool moment I forgot to mention last episode. Before I get to this, where you have Sanji about to light a cigarette. And I'm so glad I got a chance to see this in the dub, because I remember this happening 4 years ago, where you have him about to light a cigarette, like, wait. And he uses his electro to basically light Sanji's cigarette. And, of course, he lights his own because they both smoke. And I gotta admit, that's actually a really cool moment. The fact these two are they're smoking, obviously. But it just like, oh, that's very handy. It's a very brief moment. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really enjoyable. I love that. As far as I can tell at this point, this was probably the first and probably presumably the only time Pedro's going to interact with Sanji. Like, have a conversation with him. Because think about it, he knows who Sanji is, but the thing is, you don't really see him interact. You barely really see him acting very much. This is probably the best moment for him. So Pedro thinks it's his time to go. He want to lay the foundation for the future. And then, in order to free the Sunny, because they want to do the coup de burst from, of course, the Candy, then he proceeds to blow himself up along with presumably Pespero. And it doesn't kill Pespero. It does blow up one of his arms. Yeah, somehow it blows up one of his arms, but it does blow up his leg. That makes no freaking sense at all. And the Sunny is freed. Brook and Chopper are basically free as well. They hear the coup de burst. Big Mom shows up to try to stop them. But look how they basically put a new barrel in place. And then they launch the coup de burst. Well, they have Jinbei basically fired off thanks to a navigation recording. Apparently he is. But here's the thing. They have a navigation dial. Yes. One of the shells that they brought from Skypiea. Yes. Where you press the top and records anything you want to say. And this I thought was so hilarious. And of course Jinbei is like, okay. He has apparently no idea what he's doing. He just followed the instructions. He apparently has no idea what recording is. He's basically flabbergasted by this. Well, he decided to join the Straw Hats and they do weird things like this anyway, so why the heck not? So he tries it, and they launch the Kuda Burst. And Man's like, ah, man. Like, away. Well, too bad this beautiful woman didn't get a chance to much anything. Keeping this woman is 46 years old and looks that good at 46. Like, you look at how old she is, like, damn, really? 46? She looks really good? Yeah, she smokes too. Yep. So, but also, Katakuri is on the ship. Yes, Katakuri is on the ship when they go Kuda Burst. So, Breely decided to stick her head out of the mirror, just because. So, Luffy comes to the ingenious idea to drag himself into Mirror World with Katakuri to fight him without any interference in any way. It doesn't cause any damage. And Katakuri's like, well played. Because even he thinks this is a brilliant stroke of genius. Nobody's there to interrupt them. Yeah, Big Mom soldiers are there, but they're not going to interfere. They're not going to step in the way of Katakuri. Oh no, because they respect him, and they also fear him too, because they know how powerful he is. Not just because how freaking big of a giant of a man he is, but because basically he's got his haki. So, then this starts the long-running plot, another running plot for this thing, Luffy versus Katakuri, which wraps up toward the end of this particular... If you're curious, how long does this fight go on for? This fight it starts in episode 850. That's when the fight starts. That's when they go to the mirror world. And of course, Luffy smashed the mirror on his end in order to basically go into the ship. But on the only mirror, oh no, later on they burn the lockers. And here's something by sheer coincidence. That the arrows, they fire arrows, the two younger brothers, the siblings who are long necks, and they fire arrows at the lockers belonging to Usopp and Frankie. Two Straw Hats are not there. Yeah, they're not there. And we see Usopp's name frequently throughout this whole thing. Yeah, I wonder how they feel their lockers nearly get freaking burned by Big Mom's children. So, Luffy comes up with the idea of breaking all the mirrors in the ship. Every single mirror. Yep. So, Nami smashes the mirror in the guy's locker room, which is a sink-minded. And they proceed to break all the mirrors across the ship. Every single mirror. And then, of course, they can't burn the ship anyways. And also, while this is going on, of course, you have Big Mom surfing with a candy thing, thanks to Pest being alive, and sitting on top of Big Mom's hat. Yeah, sitting on his mother's hat. Whatever. Has anybody ever noticed, though, how big Mom is compared to her own children? I mean, the only one who's basically almost as tall as she is Katakuri. Excuse me. I think he's like about 12. I think he's about 15 feet tall. And Big Mom is like 22 feet tall. I think she's like the tallest person in the series who's not a giant. Pespro is basically the size of a normal man, while Katakuri is a giant human. Giant as human along with his triplet brothers, Ova and Dufuku. They go surfing, and of course use a wave. They try to draw a homing wave. And of course, Gene becomes the genius idea to go inside the wave. Go inside the green room, he calls it. It's basically an area of water inside of a wave. Yes. So he steers the ship along with steering the sails. And they go inside the damn thing. And of course, they go through pretty quickly, able to avoid it. And of course, they think that they're dead. But not really. And of course, they go to Chocolate Island anyways. Of course, the past was informed of this by Breely. Yes. Who overhears the entire conversation because of her silly powers. Yes. So, she tells her big brother Pespro about this. That they plan to go to Chocolate Island by midnight in 10 hours. Yes. So, then Luffy just basically begins his brawl with Katakuri, where he's tried multiple attacks. Katakuri dodges them, goes to attacks with them anyways. This is a common plot thread for this whole thing. Luffy, in the case of battles, mind you, this is Luffy's toughest battle in the entire series to date. Like, after this, his toughest battle was with freaking Kaido. Kaido was his tough, this is almost as tough as fighting Big Mom. He fights her out briefly, but doesn't really have a really serious fight with her. He just basically feeds her punches and that's it. Basically very he throws everything like gun pistol. I think he's like bazooka, the Grizzly Magnum, elephant gun. He does use the King Kong gun. He does not go gear 4. He goes gear 2, but not that yet. It's still early in the fight, and this is a fight that lasts for a pretty period of time. So then we see at Chocolate Island where Sanji, Pudding, and Clifton, or Chiffon, as they've heard of her in the dub. I've heard her as Clifton because that's basically when I see the name, it looks like it's pronounced Clifton. It's actually Chiffon. It's, well, according to my mom, who actually does know some about food like this, it's basically it's a very less dense cake. So then, of course, it's designed to do a blueprint of the entire cake, and you have this really cool moment. I remember this very well too, where, like, apparently Chiffon basically, he's like, "Oh, you knew exactly what it looked like, but also what the ingredients were. Like, how did you know what I know about it?" He's like, "I can smell like their scent." He's like, interesting. Yep. He remembered every single ingredient by scent. So they're pairing the batter, all this other stuff, and at one point they run out of this particular type of sugar plus put in it, but they run out, but he's like, okay, prunes. Munch them up and it'll compensate for the mother. Yeah. Like, okay, that's a really cool idea. For that part, I mean, I'm just basically listening to what they say because I'm not really into that much when it comes to cooking, but what Sanji describes is quite interesting. So, and you have this recurring thing of Pudding basically collapsing every time, every goes every lovely comment about her. And of course, Pudding alters all the, but we do see a debut of like a group of new characters. The Whole Cake 31. A group of 31 head chefs from across Whole Cake Island, where they're gathered together, and of course Pudding alters memories, all of them, to where, like, the only changes they made was that the cake collapsed due to rain, not due to Luffy, and the wedding went off with a hitch. So they think that Pudding and Sanji are married. Yes, seriously, they think it's the whole time. They're probably going to get basically a meltdown to the fact they've been lied to about what happened. Though one thing she did keep true was basically Big Mom's hunger pings. Yep. So, yeah, of course, you have Pudding just gushing blood out of her nose, which, and of course, being basically like all lovey-dovey. And of course, well, Chiffon is like, quit the lovey-dovey stuff. Yep. And yeah, we also we see a little bit of Katakuri's backstory. Well, apparently when he was born, he proceeded to just climb onto a chair and just sit there, just lie there asleep. He apparently has never lied his back down flat in his entire life. And I'm thinking, how the heck does this man sleep? If he doesn't lie down to sleep. That's what you're supposed to do. Apparently he doesn't want to do it at all. Apparently he feels too... Like, apparently he always sleeps when he sits. That is not exactly how it works. Apparently that's how he sleeps. Yeah. And apparently he's never, ever in his entire life, in the 48 years the man has, at the age of 48, he's never lied flat. Never. Like, really? Yeah, really. Also, we do see Mount Dor, one of his younger brothers. You see that he's actually left-handed. You know how I can tell that? Simple. The thumb. Yeah. Basically, this is my left hand. That's my right hand. So, yeah. Interesting, though, the fact they reveal that he's actually left-handed. Because that is something you very rarely see in real life. And if you're curious, though, do I know anybody personally who's left-handed? Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. My sister is left-handed, and so was one of my cousins. Everybody else in my family is right-handed. That's basically how it is. Yep. Anything else? No, not really. There is going to be a new character pop up in the very next dub episodes, but apparently the next dub episodes is going to be episodes 856 to 867. Yep. So by the time those episodes come out, we have roughly 11 episodes left to go for the entire arc. So, maybe next batch will probably just do 11 episodes. And then probably after that, will be probably the finish of this season. It's going to be at least 3 more parts to cover the rest before we move on to Wano. Yes. There is been a theory going around that Whole Cake would finished up by, well, by next month, obviously, and that will go on to Wano for the dub next year. Yes, next year. And you're probably thinking, based on how far we got right now, okay, because like the most recent dub episode the sub episode came up for One Piece, which was, let's see if I get this episode correct over here. Okay, it's episode 1035. So as of right now, well, I think it's like less than 100 episodes like left. Let's see. There is currently, as of right now, with this episode, there is 181 episodes left to be dubbed. Yes, 181. And with the next set of dub episodes, not only this one, which is coming up, probably the next one right afterwards, we're probably going to get just below 100 episodes left. Yeah, probably won't be very long now till we catch up with the sub. My guess is by this point next year, we will be caught up with the series when it comes to dub. Yes, Funimation will finally finish dubbing the series and just basically wait whenever the sub. And they might actually do the thing where they do several series where they release a dub episode a week after maybe like the sub episode airs in Japan, but who knows? Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Stickler Review. Next up is going to be a review for. Oh, by the way, they do reveal Katakuri's bounty. I think his bounty is like 1.07 billion berries, which, by the way, Luffy's bounty gets higher than that even after it gets higher after this arc. It's actually very close to that, but it doesn't break that record until actually I think it's higher with the very next arc after this arc concludes. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Stickler Review. Next up is going to be a comic corner. And go straight to Feral Pharmacy right afterwards. And yes, I will have time to do that tonight. I'll probably have time to do that and maybe one other one. Which one? Probably Slime Diaries. I'll probably cap off the Air 2 tomorrow, along with covering Case Closed, which is starting up a new original episode, which I'm looking forward to this one, okay? I feel. Bye.